Hello everyone, my name is Eva Devroy, and today I'll be presenting my research project entitled Using Open Data Sources to Estimate Plastic Pollution Levels Due to the COVID-19 Pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic led to a dramatic shift in consumer behavior. With lockdowns, social distancing, and concerns over in-person shopping, online retail and home delivery surged worldwide. This shift raised important environmental concerns, specifically how the rise in e-commerce affected plastic packaging waste. My research investigates this relationship using online data trends and waste reports to determine whether increased online shopping during the pandemic led to a corresponding increase in plastic waste. My research question was, how did increased online shopping and home deliveries during the COVID-19 pandemic impact plastic consumption and waste? Several studies have examined the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on plastic pollution, online shopping, and the rise of packaging waste. Dr. Fan and Dr. Luscombe's 2023 research found that masks, gloves, and COVID-19 antigen tests all contributed to plastic pollution, while takeout containers and single-use plastics surged due to hygiene concerns. Wuhan, China alone generated 200 tons of medical waste daily, exceeding incineration capacity. Online shopping boomed during the pandemic, with Amazon sales up 37% by the third quarter of 2020, contributing to 465 million pounds of plastic waste in 2019. Online shopping produces nearly 5 times more packaging waste than traditional shopping. Additionally, online food delivery services added 12 to 36% more non-biodegradable waste. These studies highlight the pandemic's significant environmental impact and the urgent need for better waste management. I had two hypotheses for my analysis. Hypothesis 1. People increased their online shopping and food delivery during COVID-19, which resulted in more plastic waste. Hypothesis 2. Online shopping patterns during COVID persisted after the pandemic, so we still have increased plastic waste compared to pre-COVID levels. I selected the time frames for pre-COVID, during COVID, and post-COVID based on mortality rates. After doing some research, I found that December of 2020 to February of 2021 was an especially tragic time in terms of death due to the coronavirus. With this information, I used the same months for all three time periods and chose different years to eliminate the variables of seasonal shopping patterns. For pre-COVID, I chose December 1st, 2019 to February 29th, 2020. During COVID was December 1st, 2020 to February 28th, 2021. And finally, post-COVID was December 1st, 2023 to February 29th, 2024. For my research, I used Google Trends to examine how often people were searching for specific terms before, during, and after COVID. Google Trends is a site that explores the popularity of different search terms. To identify search terms likely associated with online shopping behavior, I examined the most popular online shopping websites and search terms. I also used terms that would have been commonly searched for during COVID. The terms and ways in which they were selected are shown in this table. This provided me with a clearer understanding of the interest in online shopping at these varying time periods. For my data analysis of the data from Google Trends, I used Pandas, a Python coding library. I wrote several lines of code to create graphs and visualize the data to show how often a specific term was being searched during each time period. These graphs make it easier to truly see the pattern of these searches and how popular they were at different times. I also examined the available open data of two cities, New York City and Austin, Texas, to gain access to data about their plastic consumption. For New York City, I analyzed monthly data on recyclable metal, glass, plastic, beverage cartons, and garbage, comparing average and total waste across pre-COVID, during COVID, and post-COVID periods. Austin's dataset provided daily waste collection data for garbage and recycling, but only covered pre-COVID and during COVID periods. Both cities used single-stream recycling, meaning that all the recyclable materials were combined. I extracted data for each time period to compare total and average waste levels. So these two graphs over here are from the NYC data, and this one is from the Austin dataset. My findings revealed a clear correlation between the rise in online shopping and an increase in plastic waste. Google Trends data showed a rise in search terms like masks, Amazon, and eBay during key lockdown periods and after that. Waste reports from New York City and Austin indicated increased plastic waste generation. Retailer data confirmed a surge in e-commerce sales, reinforcing this trend. In these pictures, you can see the results of each search term depicted in graphs, showing a noticeable rise in online shopping interest during lockdowns, which coincided with increased plastic waste reports. For many of these search terms, its popularity persisted even after the pandemic. Here are some of the other search terms that I inputted into Google Trends and their results, such as Instacart, DoorDash, and Uber Eats. The final search terms I used were hand sanitizer and Alibaba. You can see each of their results in these graphs. Many of these graphs reveal that there has been a serious rise in plastic consumption since the pandemic. Table 2 shows how each set of results supports or does not support my two hypotheses. As a quick reminder, hypothesis 1 was increased plastic consumption during COVID in comparison to pre-COVID. And hypothesis 2 was increased plastic consumption post-COVID in comparison to pre-COVID. So we can see how most of the results supported at least one of my hypotheses. However, there were some exceptions that did not support either hypothesis. As a result of my research, I found that the drastic increase in online shopping during COVID-19 has had an ongoing impact on our consumer behavior. Even today, people online shop more regularly than they did prior to COVID. Therefore, this increase in online shopping implies more orders, more deliveries, more packaging, and thus more plastic packaging waste. Some factors that influenced whether or not certain search terms met my hypotheses include where the services are located and where the terms/services are most popular. For instance, Alibaba is based in China, which explains why its search popularity decreased during the pandemic. Racism is a major reason for the result of this specific search term. So as you can see in the blue here, the popularity of Alibaba generally overall decreased during COVID. Additionally, DoorDash was found to be most popular in San Francisco, California. It is possible that the popularity of DoorDash has significantly decreased over the years, as shown in the graph, due to people moving out of the city and not returning to work. Despite these results, there are some limitations in my research. For example, not all plastic is recyclable, so using recycling data isn't always accurate. Moreover, finding available data on plastic pollution, especially in different cities, is virtually impossible, causing me to use open data and Google Trends as proxies. Also, although searching for a product or website doesn't necessarily equate to purchasing, general interest at a large scale likely relates to increased shopping. Finally, the Austin data was not up to date because it only went up to July 2021. As a result of this, I was only able to use the pre-COVID and during COVID data for Austin. Future research could expand on these findings by examining other geographic areas, further exploring alternative packaging, or developing models to predict long-term trends in plastic consumption. In conclusion, my research highlights a significant but often overlooked consequence of the pandemic: the rise in plastic waste due to increased online shopping. As e-commerce continues to expand, addressing plastic packaging waste will be critical for sustainability efforts. This research emphasizes the need for proactive measures to balance convenience with environmental responsibility. These are my references. Thank you for your time.